Welcome to the Art of Connection, Muslim Matters Edition. I am your host, Bilal Khan, and this piece is about context. One of my pet peeves, sometimes when Muslims talk, you couldn't really understand them. And I'm not talking about not being coherent or clear, but the way that they use the language, it's not something that will be conducive to being able to communicate to most other people. Just to kind of give you some context for what this means is one of the first blogs that I had ever started about, I don't know, over 10 years ago. One of the things that I would do is, as I would read the Quran, I would share my reflections online. Now, lo and behold, the state of American Muslims and the direction that we're headed towards in terms of semi-police state, as well as the whole Patriot Act and post 9/11 situation that we live in today. Lo and behold, the homies, aka the Homeland Security, FBI folks, were also reading the blog. One time when I actually came back from the pilgrimage to Mecca, the Hajj, I had a conversation with the guys, and they basically had my entire blog printed out, and they had showed it to me, and they were asking me about different things that were perhaps posted on the blog. So one of the questions that they asked me about was, hey, listen, and the guy posed a really, really interesting question. If somebody is new to the game, maybe they're not familiar with Islam, or even if they are Muslim, they haven't been Muslim for a long time, and they read stuff in which it could be misunderstood, potentially, maybe without clear context and explanation. Could you blame the person who's new to the game if they misunderstand it and take it the wrong way? It bears a lot of concern to have. And I think about it now is that the way that we share content, the way we talk about things, is it something that would be conducive to the betterment and understanding of people who are new to the game? Because here's the reality. Reality is most Muslims in America, and even probably throughout the world, the state of Muslims today is that of ignorance. One of the videos I did in the past about Ibn Battuta and the people of that time, education and literacy in Islamic sciences and even secular sciences, or as they call them, secular sciences, the level of literacy tended to be a little bit higher. And even America as a state in terms of their education is starting to, fall, which is not something good. It's something to be concerned about. But even worse is the state of education for Muslims. On the regular secular sciences, yes, for the most part, we tend to thrive. But when it comes to understanding our own way of life and spiritual well-being, we tend to be very, very ignorant. So when we do become educated, all of a sudden we're feeling inspired and we share and things like that. But many times after a little while, and what I mean by a little while is maybe even a couple of years, we fall into what was once referred to as the curse of knowledge. And the curse of knowledge is essentially, there's a concept that's actually brought forth in this book called Made to Stick. And I think it makes a lot of sense. When you learn something, and you continue to learn it and you learn it well, after a little while, what happens is you forget what it was like to not know it. And thus, when you start communicating to people who don't know the same thing that you do, then what happens is your message is completely lost. And so the question that comes up is, when we're sharing things and we're sharing content, are we sharing it with the other person in mind, or are we sharing it simply for ourselves? This could be, now this lesson of context and appropriate vernacular, that's a big word. But the idea of vocabulary that is understood by people, are we being mindful of when we share, when we speak, when we engage with people, we're speaking a language that they understand? That's a question, and this is a question that we should be mindful of in all communication and connection situations. Whether it's if you're giving a sermon on Friday, if you get up there and you're speaking, is the language that you're using something that would be easily receptive and understood by people who are new to the game, or people who aren't even in the game yet, right? At the same time, when you share content online, i.e. videos or blog posts, is that something that you could share with, or if your non-Muslim buddies were to see that, is it something that they could understand and benefit from as well? Or similarly, when you engage with people online and not even online, but offline and in conversation, do you minimize the Arabic vernacular, which isn't necessary, isn't something that you have to use all the way? And I get it that people really get excited and they want to leverage the knowledge that they've gained and they want to practice the Arabic language, which is the language of the Quran and all. But you don't have to put yani, inshallah, and mashallah 10 times in the same sentence. I mean, also, even the simple understanding of some of these words is completely lost. Maybe it's a cultural thing, right? If they say, hey, are you coming? Are you going someplace? And they say, inshallah, right? Which means if God wills, right? And I'm not saying you should change that to if God wills. But the thing is, when you say it with meaning. Inshallah, yes, or inshallah, no. The thing is, don't leave the people hanging. And when you do use these words, you don't have to like sprinkle them needlessly throughout when you speak, because in reality, I don't know, some people, they might feel like they feel more religious because they say these things. It doesn't make you any more religious. Religiosity or personal virtue doesn't come from vocabulary. I mean, if the vocabulary is good and the words that you speak are good, that's where the essence of good character comes from. But the idea that you speak in like Arabic words, it doesn't make you any more religious than somebody else. Focus should be more on the side of, if you really want to learn language, or if you're new to the game as a Muslim, or if you've been in the game, focus on the things that are important. When you speak with other people, speak in a language that they understand. Speak using words and vernacular and vocabulary that is most appropriate to them. But at the same time, when it comes to your connection with your creator, understand the words that you're saying, because those very people that needlessly litter inshallah, mashallah, ya'ni, and all these other words throughout the things that they're saying. I'm not saying it's bad to say these things. I just think there's an appropriate way of using these words. But when it comes to your connection with your Lord, when you're praying, do you know what you're saying? Because those words are more important to know and understand. And when you say it, is there real meaning behind those words? Because when you say it, it's not just rolling off your tongue, but it's coming from your heart. That's what it means to speak with meaning, because it's not something that you're just regurgitating. So this is something that I want us all to keep in mind as a means of better connecting with the world around us. When you speak with people, speak in a language that they understand. When you present, especially for people publicly, whether it's sermons or online content, blogging, or even engaging in conversation, go to the lowest common denominator. Basic media writing rule. Write as if you're speaking to an 8th grader. May you be blessed with peace, safety, security, and freedom now and in days to come. I'll see you soon.